Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
On the line with me right now is Jake Borup, Phillies pitching prospect. Started out this season here in 2010 after signing his first pro contract. Spent time with the Williamsport Crosscutters, but before that was an Arizona Sun Devil, and had a great season out there as a starting pitcher, posting an 11-1 record. Got honorable mention for all Pac-10 honors. Jake, please just talk about what life as a Sun Devil was like for you these past couple years before being drafted by the Phillies.
Life as a Sun Devil is pretty unique. It's pretty cool. For me, especially growing up, I was a big Sun Devil fan. Went to all the football games, all the baseball games, but being a baseball player, that was always like the mecca for me. That was like the place I wanted to be at. And so I worked hard through high school, and when I got there, man, the dream come true. And so I didn't really know what I was in for, but the Sun Devil experience was pretty sweet, man. I enjoyed every part of it.
And then after the season, you were drafted in the 23rd round by the Phillies. And just what was your draft experience like? Like, tell me about, what were you doing? How did you kind of track yourself on the draft boards and stuff like that? Were you watching online? Were you with your family when it happened? And how did you celebrate?
Well, I was actually at practice because we had a practice today because we were getting ready to play in the Super Regionals against Arkansas. So I was pretty much looking at it from a distance, where I was trying not to think about it, but yet at the same time, your whole life you look forward to getting drafted by a professional team, and you're not really sure which team's going to snag you. You've heard this and heard that, but in the end, you see your name get called, especially by the Philadelphia Phillies. It was just, everything just kind of felt right. It felt like it was the way it's supposed to be.
And how did you find out? Like, who notified you? Was it a coach that pulled you aside, family member making a phone call, or what?
No, I actually was called by a scout. By the scout that had talked to me, and I hadn't talked to, his name was Brad Hall, and I hadn't talked to him for a long time. But he told me, he was like, hey, we're going to pick you in the 23rd, we're going to pick you soon. I said, cool, and then finally my name was called, and he called and told me, and everything was good from there. But I was still at practice, and somebody had told me there too, but I had already heard the news before that, anybody at AC had told me that. Still, it was a pretty cool experience finally hearing my name called.
Yeah. And then after signing your first pro contract, you were assigned to Williamsport, which is short season A-ball, and you pitched mostly out of the bullpen, but you started 4 games there, and you posted great stats as far as being a rookie to pro ball. So, who helped you excel the most in your first half a season as a professional baseball player?
I would definitely have to say that my pitching coach, Lance Carter, the guy that would, he had spent some time in the major leagues and, was a pretty successful guy early and had a good career. And, for me, the transition to pro baseball was I don't really know exactly if I could pinpoint one thing that's different about pro baseball than regular baseball. It's just baseball, but Lance was the guy that kind of helped me mentally get prepared for life as a professional athlete, making sure that I was doing things as a professional and not necessarily, college kids tend to, they have things in their mind, but Lance he helped me with, not only the outside perspective of it, but as well as, making sure you're getting your work in, doing it right, not being, goof off and not being an idiot off the field, but making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do and taking care of business. And those are something that I believe, but he kind of just reiterated it to me and showed me the importance of working hard and doing what you need to do to get to where you want to be.
And I'd like to find out from you, what's your pitch repertoire like, and what do you consider your out pitch?
That's a funny question. There's probably I would have to say that, I throw a mix of 4 pitches. I throw a fastball, a changeup, a slider, and I throw a split finger as well. And so, I would probably say the majority of my strikeouts came on a slider, either down into a lefty or away down away to a righty. So, but for me, most of the time it was, setting those pitches up. I don't don't necessarily say one pitch is nastier than the other because, I'm not a guy that likes the radar gun, so command is a big thing for me, and trying to, mix up my pitches well, and that's kind of what sets up the strikeout. But I would have to say that my slider is probably the pitch that I would go with if I had to say anything about an out pitch.
All right. And what do you think that you improved the most on during your time with the Phillies organization thus far? Was it a particular pitch maybe that you developed further, or just mechanics-wise, were there alterations that you made? What do you think you made the most improvements with?
The biggest improvement for me, and I can tell you exactly what it is, it was the fact that you don't have to nibble on the corners in pro baseball. At this stage, I should say. For me coming in, I come from ASU, big conference in baseball, and if you throw the ball with the plate, those middle bats, they're going to go a long way, regardless of whether they hit the ball good or not. And so for me, my first couple outings, I was really, worried about, throwing the ball over the middle because I didn't want these professional hitters, so to speak, that were going to hit the ball, miles. So for me, and that's where a pitching Lance came in, is he was able to help me, and I was, more or less able to help myself through experience. Was just knowing that, you just need to go after the hitters, throw strike one, get ahead, and, they're going to put the ball in play, and that's why you got 8 guys or 7 guys behind you to play defense. And so more or less, for me, it was just kind of, realizing that hitters are going to hit the ball, and you don't have to, be perfect on every pitch, but you just have to make sure you're executing, the pitch that you'd like to hit, that you'd like to throw.
Okay. And then you were sent to instructional ball following the regular season. And what was that experience like for you? And, was it beneficial to kind of build relationships and meet some of the guys that you hadn't played with yet up until that point?
Definitely. It was, I didn't really know what to think. I was told I was going to Instructs, with about a month left in the season. And, I was really excited to go there and looking forward to learning from not only the, other pitchers, but, the guys who played in the big leagues and the coordinators. And so, I got there with kind of the mentality of, I'm just going to finish this, the ride out, work as hard as I can, and do my best to kind of show everyone that, who I am and make a name for myself. And, it was a really, really good experience for me to go out there and get kind of a feel for how things are, to see the Phillies and how they work, not only in Instructs, but kind of get a taste for spring training and what I need to do to prepare myself to become, an elite pitcher at this level. And for me, Instructs was just a good warming up or a good, preview of what's to come in spring training and kind of, how to pace myself to make a team that I want to make, and also, push myself to be the kind of pitcher I want to be in 2011.
Jake, what was the best thing about your 4 months that you spent as a pro pitcher in the minors with with Williamsport, and then in the month you spent at instructional ball? What was the best thing about turning pro in those 4 months?
I think it was just getting a taste of what professional baseball is like. It's different. There's definitely a team feeling to it, and you're playing you're playing a man's game now. It's not little league where you can. How do I be politically correct? Where you can just, Jake Borup, the first time I saw the catcher get bowled over, I was looking to the umpire to toss the guy out. That's not how it is anymore. So, it's a man's game. You got to take everything upon yourself to do what's right. And, otherwise you're just going to kind of separate yourself from everybody. And, so for me, the biggest thing I saw in Williamsport was, that it's a man's game now. You're in professional baseball. You're expected to be professional, and take care of business. So, but I really enjoyed it. That's how I like it. I don't like the coaches to kind of push you along and patty cake this. I'm the kind of guy who like to take the bull by the horns, to do things the way that I know they should be done, and I expect great things. So for me to kind of have that taste of pro ball was really good for me to kind of see that.
On the low from the Jake and the Taurus, trying to get my hands on some grants like Horace. Yeah, living the raw deal, 3-course meal, spaghetti, fettuccine and veal. But still, everything's real in the field.